And what this is going to show me, similar to what we saw a few minutes ago when we dug into or drilled down into a particular machine, it's going to show me, I'm going to collapse the general details in this identity, but it's going to show me as it pertains to that operating system. So where we looked at the operating system, I think it was for a Windows machine, I can see this one, again, older software, so we may want to upgrade that operating system. But now I'm looking at the hardware and network details. And what I'm able to see really quickly, I have a couple of red flags with respect to my network. So as I mouse over these, I can see I have interface and port speeds that are not matching. I have as well interface and port duplex configurations that don't match. So it may be at this point on my network team to go make a few modifications as well so that we as IT can support the business and ultimately have his trading application run smoothly, run more efficiently so they can get more trades through. Okay. Joe, does that kind of answer your question about how we're mapping to IT to the business?
Absolutely. So it's very useful information to be able to understand, especially for me, that whole visual picture of what that application looks like, all the underlying architecture and infrastructure. So if somebody was to ask me if I make a change to this switch, I can zero in on that switch and I can see through a native out-of-the-box report, I can see all of the business applications that would be affected by a change to that switch. Or the same thing with a host or things of that nature. So again, that powerful analytics data, I think what we've just seen is a kind of a quick view of some of the powerful analytics that are built into the product, some of the visualizations that help us get to that root detail to understand, what's going on in our environment, help us make better decisions and so on. We also just saw an example of the extended data pack information. So that end-of-life data, the end-of-support data, as well as the physical characteristics of the server, including the amount of power that it's consuming, the amount of heat that it's generating in the data center. All of that information is supplemented onto the devices that we discover through this extended data pack that we update on a monthly basis. So as new hardware is released and so on, we update that extended data pack as new announcements are made about end of life, end of support for software. We update that extended data pack on a monthly basis, and it allows us to understand what's our posture, what's our security position, what do we need to plan for in the future. Again, adding value to the business, for IT right out of the box. For those of you on the call that are either associated with the federal or the DoD space, we do want to point out the fact that we do have the ability to meet disastigs within the environment as well as to run in a FIPS 140-2 compliant state. If you have further questions about that, I encourage you to contact RightStar. RightStar has the ability to bring in one of BMC's federal software consultants who is a subject matter expert on this and have a discussion with you about how we would go about providing that functionality. Can we go to the next slide real quick? Okay, so I'm assuming that based on the number of people I saw on the poll that are already ADDM customers, this is really where you want to be. You want to understand what's in 10.1, why did we do it, right? So there were three premises that we leveraged to build the 10.1 release, right? We took the 10.0 with all of its new features and the clustering capability and everything else, but we were still lacking some vital pieces, right? So, we wanted to increase the awareness, and the awareness specifically around storages and storage devices and load balancers. Excuse me. We also wanted to make some more efficiencies within the product, and we'll talk through some of those capabilities, but easier mapping custom applications into a business service model, being more efficient in our pre-discovery of the environment to quickly find that dark space on those networks that are sparsely populated and so on. Again, improving efficiency, and then again, some collaborative type things, being able to to schedule based on, certain things happening in the environment at certain times, better scheduling capabilities, better visualization capabilities. And we'll take a look at those as we go through. So let's start with the big thing, right? This is the number one thing that's been asked for by our customers as an enhancement to ADDM is discovery for storage. Now, a lot of customers are out there going, well, I have all the information I need about storage, right? I've got my storage console and I've got my storage managers. I don't need another storage manager. We're not trying to provide a storage manager here. We're trying to provide a way to take that storage that's in your environment, whether it's a single vendor or multiple vendors, and attach that storage to those business services so that, again, it becomes more of a value to understand how that storage is connected and how it's supporting those business services. Now, about 75% of the customers that we talked to prior to this release told us that they were still managing their storage in a very infrastructure-centric manner, i.e., somebody would say, hey, my server needs this much disk space. The storage people would assign a storage, a storage system, assign a certain set of volumes or pools or whatever to that machine, and that was really kind of the extent of it. They didn't really always understand what the overarching business service was that they're supporting. What this allows us to do now is it allows us to take that information and, again, see it as part of those business services. Now, for those of you that are already ADDM customers and already built application maps and applications, guess what? You don't have to write any new code, right? Because what we're doing is we're automatically connecting the storage to the hosts that are already appearing in your visualizations. That information is automatically captured and automatically added to the dependency mappings, the relationship mappings, and again, all of that information is automatically pushed into your CMDBs. So with that, Stacy, can you give us a quick look at what we might see when we're running the Atrium Discovery for storage?
Yes, and I'll start off with the taxonomy for the storage area network, and then we'll look at it for the NAS, and then I'll go into the demonstration. So from a SAM perspective, of course, we're going to have that storage system that we discover. On this left side, kind of think of this as the hardware, the physical view of that storage system. So that's comprised of my disk drives and my storage processors. On the right side, this is the logical partitioning for that storage system. So what you'll see there are the storage volumes related to the storage pools, and that ultimately I have a host that has a relation to that storage volume. As a part of doing my discovery with storage, I can utilize WebM. So I'm putting in credentials for my storage management system, or I can and that's how I come up with this software instance, or I can just do the discovery maybe with the SNMP credentials. SNMP more for the network side, but I'll have a device that I found. If it's with the WebM, then a software instance is going to be displayed on that map. And the example that I'm going to go through for the storage area network, we actually are querying with WebM credentials and hitting a software instance, so that becomes a part of that map. On the network attached storage, again, there's a storage system. This taxonomy is going to look a little different. So I'm still going to have the disk drives. There are no processors there. It's just the disk drive. As I'm building this out on the right side, what I have now are a bunch of file systems that are ultimately connected to a host. So that's where it becomes, if you will, that network attached storage. Still all visible in ADDM. We can see the relationships for it. It's just, again, the taxonomy is going to be a little different. So when I hit the SAN, you'll notice it's being what's displayed on the specifics is a little bit different from the NAS. Again, I've probably, with the network attached storage, entered those SNMP credentials to discover this storage system. And so, again, that's what's going to be presented to us. So here, let me break out into the demonstration. And I'm going to start in our storage dashboard. So this will be a new one. If you're an existing customer, when you upgrade to 10.1, you will notice this storage overview. So that's an additional dashboard that will be available to you. As I pull it up, you'll notice it's just information that pertains to my storage. So on this infrastructure summary, you'll see devices, storage systems, the pools, the volumes, my storage connections. On the right, the network attached vendor. So I have a storage system out there for NetApp. On the SANs, you'll notice several vendors there. So the top 5 are available out of the box. If you're familiar with writing the patterns, you can write a pattern, but as Joe alluded to, the patterns are something that's updated every month. So next month, there will probably be additional storage vendors added to that TKU. Okay, what I'm going to do is start in the SAN storage reports, and I'll hit this first one. So I won't hit all of them, but we'll go through a few that I've selected. So with respect to the SAN storage, again, what you're going to be able to see here, my different vendors. So you'll see EMC, Hewlett Packard, IBM, Hitachi. So really those top 5 storage vendors, those patterns are available out of the box. We're going to be able to find those in your network. I'm going to hit this symmetrics array from EMC. And when I do that, you'll notice a couple things. So first off, this client access type. So this is SAN versus NAS. We'll see that a little bit later. I'm able to see the vendor. I can see the model number. I can see the serial number. You'll see several line items here with respect to capacity. So on this particular array, how am I with respect to capacity? Are we kind of in the middle? Do we have a lot more to go? Do I need to consider now doing some other storage mechanisms in my environment? But again, it's going to be the information for you at your fingertips. The storage device. So there I'm just really cross-referencing back to that symmetrics array. This managed by, this is what's allowing me to see quickly that I utilize one of those storage management systems. So this one we're probably going to see a software instance. And again, it's this EMC SIM Object Manager. Now, the next 4 things here, you remember the left side of that taxonomy was my physical hardware, and that was composed of the processors and the disk drives. So when I hit the processors, I'll just hit one of these. I think there's 8 there, but we'll just hit one. I can see a couple of things. So again, there's the vendor. I can see the model number. I can see the firmware, the memory, and then that I've got 2 front-end fiber channel ports for this particular processor. Okay, so here I'm just going to hit back to the array, and let's look at, again, on the left side of that taxonomy were my disk drives. And when I hit this disk drive, I can see there's 53, but again here, I'll just kind of land on this first row. It's telling me the speed of that hard drive. I can see the size. I'm able to see the model as well as the serial number. So, again, we've kind of dug in, and we're getting some really pertinent information as it pertains to that storage array. Okay, here, let me just hit the back button. And what we've ended up is back on the symmetric array. Now, if we want to think about the logical partitioning, then that brings into play my pools and volumes. So here, when I hit the pool, I can see, again, several things with respect to the 25 pools for this array. I'm going to hit one of these so we can get some additional information. Here, I can see that that particular pool is thinly provisioned. I can see the capacity. Again, some pretty good statistics there. But the other thing that I'm able to see is this particular pool is in a hierarchy, and there is a parent pool related. You'll remember as well from that taxonomy that my volumes and pools were related to one another, and so I see here I've got 2 volumes. And again, I'll just click, and what we're seeing here is 2 volumes. The first one, not really consumed. The second one does have some consumption, so I'll go ahead and hit it.